Hello, my name's Roy. I'm a targeted individual, and today I've got a pal of mine with me. His name's Stephen, and he's from Sweden.
Uh,
Nice to see you, Stephen. Over to you.
yeah, thanks, Roy. It was Denmark, but never worries. It's pretty
Oh,
close.
bloody hell. Sorry, mate.
It's okay. Yeah, but yeah, I'm from Denmark. Yeah, nice to be nice to be on with you.
Thank you.
So
So,
yeah, carry on.
no, I was going to say over to you now, Stephen.
All
Stephen
right,
from Denmark, my apologies.
all right. Yeah, I'm too a targeted individual, or I call myself socially and politically persecuted. Not only by my own government here in Denmark, but also in collaboration with the British and American. And in my case, as many probably know, the situation is a little different. I have been in this situation for years now. I suspect it started early 2008, and indifferent to other target individuals, they had chosen to make this a public thing. So the social and political persecution of me is being done publicly. So all the things that go on with other target individuals is also going on against me, but it's being made public. So what the governments, the intelligence agencies rather, are doing, they are rolling this program out. They are rolling out the technologies being used against target individuals. For instance, like synthetic telepathy and all the gang stalking and the abolishment of all your rights and freedoms, they all get gradually taken away from you under any number of pretexts that have nothing to do with the rule of law or anything of such. So the situation is very difficult for me because everybody is being made to believe that I'm supposedly the most evil thing since Hitler, but there isn't any material action to kind of to justify the persecution of me or the labeling of me with everything under the sun to kind of to get away with what they're doing. So yeah, it has been a nightmare, and the nightmare is only continuing. It's gradually getting worse and worse and worse for every year that gets past. Of course, you learn to kind of live with it, or you learn to get on with life and excel anyway. But everything you do is being sabotaged. So I have learned to cope with the situation and started a small business, and I do fight sports, and I keep myself fit and occupied as much as possible. But the government here are ferocious. They are sabotaging everything that I try to achieve, and it's absolutely crazy. And as I say, it's all being done publicly, and yeah, and that's what tells me this program that target individuals find themselves under is being rolled out so that they can say anyone who they think is undesirable in any way. It can be something you say, it can be something you stand for, it can be your opinions on the internet. They can literally use that and say, well, we don't like you, we're going to put you under the program, and they're just going to use their national security and all kinds of other labels to put on there to get away and get away from your rights and freedoms.
So you say publicly, Stephen. How do you know?
Well, it's obvious. Anybody I meet is literally being told that I am the next evil thing since Hitler. What they have done to me is they have labelled me guilty for sex crimes all of these years without any trials, without any cases, without any paperwork to speak of. And I have shown time and again all of my paperwork to prove otherwise. But if the government is harping on labelling me guilty for something completely outside of the rule of law for all of these years, every single day that goes on, they're just harping on it like Edward Bernays would be proud of them using the propaganda techniques that he has written about in the books. So that's how they justify their persecution of me. And anyone I get in contact with, they're literally using synthetic telepathy on the people in my surroundings, using me as the walking, talking, a microphone and listening station to see and hear what I see. And then they're communicating to the people around me using synthetic telepathy communication system. That's how publicly the program is now.
Do you have friends in your life, Stephen?
Well, I probably do, but nobody really want to associate with me. It's just too dangerous, too scary. Because anybody I get in contact with, they find themselves, they get implicated in the government's propaganda narrative like that. You probably found yourself being implicated in their narrative.
Oh, 100%.
Just by having me on, you know. That's how insidious this is.
Right. Well, but they had it in for me many years ago anyway, Stephen. So we're on the same page.
Yeah. You can't let that stop you.
Yeah. What about family? Have you got family, and do they believe you?
Well, I think they have been co-opted from the start. So I did have contact with my parents from the beginning, but it was so obvious from the start they were being used against me to get one over on me. So for many years ago, I just cut ties because they weren't worth it was a bad analogy. I just thought the paper they were written on, if you know what I mean, because they have no backbone. They are scared and just the threat of being put in the same situation I'm being put in, they would do anything the government tells them.
Right. And have you ever been in the Mental Health Act?
No, they have obviously tried to, and this is quite a funny thing you asked me. In the beginning, when I did have contact with my parents, they were so keen to have me talk with the mental health services, and I thought they were literally telling me this is going to be your way out and so on and so forth. But they were literally just trying to get me into the mental health service just to have me labelled, you know, a mental case. So later on in life, because it's obviously impossible for me in my situation to get a job, they just simply won't allow it. They won't allow it. So they have to put me on the dole, and when you're on the dole too long, you become on something else. So in that regard, I had to speak with a psychiatrist, for 45 minutes, like in 2013, and that one tool that got me a diagnosis that I was nothing serious, I can't even remember what it is, but something banal and didn't really mean much. So yeah.
Right, because most of us, or myself, in the beginning, what they did is they sleep deprived me for 6 months.
Yeah.
They allowed me to sleep for 2 hours every other day.
Yeah.
So that I was crawling up the walls. I knew that they were doing it to me, but I had to find a way to get some sleep, and that's when they got me into the mental health service.
Yeah.
I was in it for about 10 years on Largactil, risperidone, quetiapine, and the label that they gave me was paranoid schizophrenic and then bipolar,
right.
which I knew wasn't true anyway.
Yeah. So I've been lucky in that regard because I actually recorded my meeting with the psychiatrist as well, and I put some of it on the internet, so they can't really get carried away with that diagnosis. And as I say, it's pretty banal. It's nothing serious like being some kind of complete psycho. So they couldn't. I know you're not a psycho either, like that.
No problem.
So they couldn't get me on pills or anything. They have obviously asked if I wanted to have pills, but I have always said no. I don't want that shit. So
right. Stephen, oh sorry, after you.
They can't use that angle on me. That's what I wanted to say.
Right. Have you ever been to the police to put things straight with them?
Not in regards to being subjected to electromagnetic attacks from all kinds of weaponry. Electromagnetic.
No, I didn't mean that. From the other things that they're saying about you.
Of course, I put out all my paperwork. So I share, if you see my videos on YouTube and stuff like that, I share.
I haven't. No, I'll put the link into my playlist when we finish.
Yeah, sure. I have done extensive FOIA requests, to get all your paperwork. Yep. And I have had an extensive criminal history as well. Not the kind of crimes that they are using to justify the persecution of me with, but to just normal crime, if you will.
Yeah, I get it.
So I have had an easy time getting all my records because there's a lot to find. but it's nothing nothing people would be outraged over. You know, it's just the same old as many other people. So
Right.
about assaults and drugs and stuff like that.
Okay. And what do you suffer from at the moment, Stephen?
Well, stuff. I get sleep deprivation as you all the time. It's a regular thing. This year has almost been constant, and they also attack because I do fight sports. I go out and be amongst other people, despite the situation, despite their illness,
good,
despite all their PSYOPS on me. But so they give me problems with my guts, my digestive system. So that's kind of what they try to attack is by irradiating me both with ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation through these directed energy weapons. And as I say, I can't. Anything I do, I get sabotaged. So my small business, probably like 90% of all of my sales, they don't allow it. So I have just done a tally this year on my website where I sell small engines and scooters, you know, mopeds.
Okay.
I have had like 18,000 different people visiting my website in a year, and out of these 18,800 or whatever, only 73 sales have been allowed. So that kind of gives you an idea of, it might not be a smoking gun, but it gives you an idea of how much I'm being blocked, sabotaged. People are just not being allowed.
Yeah. In all honesty, Stephen, you know as yourself as a target individual, that is normal for us.
Yeah.
Because every targeted individual, the majority, 95%, I would say, haven't got a partner, can't work, have lost their businesses, either live in rented accommodation or on the streets.
Right.
And are quite desperate.
Yeah, fuck yeah, very desperate, and it's only getting worse. And since they're doing it publicly, to me, I know you can't acknowledge that fact, but it just shows you that it's going to get worse for everybody, and there's going to be more targeted individuals as time progresses. There's no shadow of a doubt about it, no shadow, and that's why it's being done publicly to normalise and have people. Kind of, yeah, okay, that's what we're doing now.
Do you get headaches, Stephen?
Not particularly.
Not particularly. Do you still get the V2K?
Oh yeah, I get. They transmit synthetic telepathy communications to me. Yeah, typically when I need to go to sleep. That's kind of
right.
Of keeping you up and awake and not being able to sleep, or if you have a court case, for example, and just pester you, for example, while you're trying to deliver a testimony or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you take anything for sleep, Stephen?
I have had melatonin. That helps. Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing that you can't get over the counter.
Right. Well, all I was saying is I was going to suggest this.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah.
Right. They go for pennies on eBay, 5-HTP.
Yeah.
And that is what actually got me off of antipsychotic drugs.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a herbal remedy. It's not chemicals. And I get a good night's sleep from it. So I tried the melatonin, but with the melatonin, it was too strong for me.
All right. If you combine that 5-HTP with the melatonin, it's even better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And do you believe the targeting was from English-based or Danish-based?
It's a good question. It's undoubtedly I have been under observation before the program began, and there are things that tells me that they have been using, but subtly, not overtly, before the program became live there in 2008. I suspect a couple of years before they probably started, but my life choices also in these years were very, very self-sabotaging, to say the least. Before I became aware of the technological capabilities, and there was actually somebody manipulating me through these technological capabilities, and I didn't have a shadow of a clue about these things existed at that time. So it's very scary. It's another, when you are clued up and you have an idea that this is being used on you, you at least have some you can defend yourself. But if you have no idea that someone's actually suggesting to you things that you automatically think is yourself, if you didn't know these things existed, then things become very dangerous, don't they?
Do you speak fluent Danish?
Of course, yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't aware, because I was going to ask you, do you get the voices in English or Danish?
I don't actually, I think it's different. I don't really think about it.
No, because the V2K, I wondered if you got it in English or Danish.
Yeah, no, I think it can change, you know. I haven't really thought about it. It's not like I don't really engage with whomever is communicating to me through these technological capabilities. I don't. That's one of the things you should learn as a target individual. Do not communicate with them at all.
Right. Well, the difference with me is I was a mind control target, Stephen.
Yeah.
So I actually couldn't get away from it.
No, but as you learn, as you live on with this thing being conducted against you, you learn to cope, and you learn things that help you and other things that don't. So my advice is just try not to communicate with them at all, because they need feedback as well, and you don't want to give them feedback because that's how they learn. So if they do something to you that is horrible and you really, really hate it, and you tell them this is really hating, hurt me, or I hate it so much, they're only going to amplify your trigger or your weak point, and they're going to harp and harp and harp on it. So if you can, you just want to give them as little as possible.
Yeah. I think it also depends how deep the program you are on, because they uploaded my brain, Stephen.
All right.
So I was very well aware when they were uploading my brain.
All right.
You know, because Elon Musk 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago, he actually had his brain uploaded as well.
Really?
Yes, it was made public.
Right.
You know, so it's very simple for them to do now.
Right. Yeah, but it's called brain mapping, I suppose, where they record all your chemistry, the signals in your brain and your thoughts and your memories and what have you. But what's also more scary is how they can overflood you with things that have nothing to do with you. And this is something that I have noticed specifically, that when you sleep, you just get completely and utterly brainwashed with all the garbage and nonsense that they want you to be indoctrinated with. And it's literally garbage and nonsense. I find myself many times just thinking, what is this absolute rubbish? And that's kind of, if you didn't have an idea of something that is something that can send these things to you, then you could easily go crazy, couldn't you?
Yeah. Have you tried any protection, like lead hats or copper hats or anything, or?
Oh yeah, I have a shielded enclosure, a proper one, aluminium cage.
Okay.
Yeah, I built that in 2016 or something. It works sometimes to some extent, but for example, putting a hat on would do nothing, because you have to have a completely airtight room to stop the electromagnetic fields. So you can't just put a hat or a glove on. You have to place yourself in a confined room, and that's obviously it's not easy to build, and it's very, very expensive to buy. Faraday cages, they cost hundreds of thousands, or they can cost very much money.
Yeah, that's what John McAfee was living in, God rest his soul.
All right.
John McAfee, he was living in a Faraday cage with his wife Janice.
Right.
And he also had the jammers in there with him, Stephen, to jam the signals.
Right. John McAfee, the antivirus guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen the video.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, because he disappeared, didn't he, 6 months ago?
Well, yeah, he got suicided, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to his wife about 3 weeks ago. Lovely lady.
All right.
Yeah, Janice.
How is she coping afterwards?
Yeah, she's not too bad. I actually heard she was actually on a crypto coin show, a Bitcoin or something show, and I
Right.
spoke to her on that. But she's coping.
All right. So she's
You
not being
know,
targeted as he was.
no,
No. Okay. That's good.
she's getting on with her life, and I don't. But she's no harm to anybody anyway, is she, Stephen?
But most people aren't. So, you know,
Yeah,
you don't have to be, anybody can be a target individual. You don't have to be, for example, me, I have had a criminal history. I'm not being targeted because I have had a mundane criminal history. Hundreds of millions of people have had the same thing. That's not,
yeah,
there are people from every walks of life in these programs. So that
yeah.
has nothing to do with it.
Oh no, I know because some people know why they were targeted, and I know why I was targeted.
All right.
I pissed the wrong police inspector off.
Is that it?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And that,
After I split up with my second wife, I went a little bit off the rails.
right.
Went out and pissed this gentleman off in front of his pals,
Right.
and they didn't like it. I ran out the nightclub. 6 months later, I was on the program.
Right. And that was when?
That was 1994, 95, because
Right.
I've been on the program 28 years now.
Right. That's a long time.
Yeah,
It's funny how we haven't came across each other before then, isn't it? Because I've been since 2008, and I became aware in 2011, and I have met Barry Trower and all sorts. Did my video just go?
it has. Yes, it's. Hi everybody. Sorry about the little segment that we missed Stephen in. Sadly, his battery went on his camera, but we're back to where we are now. Thanks once again, Stephen. Wanted to ask you about Barry Trower. You said you'd met Barry,
Yeah, that's right.
and did you go down to Devon to meet him, or?
Yeah, we went to his house actually, and we did an interview. It's done pretty well, that interview on the internet. It was with the organisation called ISA Act. I don't know if it means anything to you, but it was in 2013, if I remember correctly. So we were a couple of people down there, and we just went to your house and had a chat. Yeah, Barry Charles, all right.
No, I think he's done wonders for us, to be honest. The
Right.
same as Dr. Robert Duncan, Dr. James Giordano.
Yeah, I know who Robert Duncan is as well. Yeah, I read his
Yeah.
books as well. It's good.
Are you familiar with Len Bear?
Yeah, I have heard his interview on your channel actually. Yeah.
Right. No, because the good thing about Len is he's actually been diagnosed with Evanescent. I know it's not a good thing, but from where we're standing, it is a good thing because at least we know there's a chance for us.
Yeah, Havana syndrome is just terminology that is being used to describe the effects of being subjected to electromagnetic attacks. That's basically it. It's what it was used euphemism. That's what it is actually.
Yeah. What's the name of your channel, Stephen?
Well, I'm on YouTube and on Facebook. You can find me both places. Yeah, I'm also recently opened a Twitter. So yeah.
Right, okay, no, because once we finished, I'd like to put the links into the chat so that people can like, share, comment, and subscribe, Stephen.
Yeah.
Because I think the more that we share, the more chance we've got getting the truth out.
Of course, yeah. People are more than welcome to come and have a look at my channels as well. I'll be grateful. As many eyes as possible.
Yeah. And what would you say to new targeted individuals, Stephen, that don't know really what they're going through or have just discovered us?
Well, yes. Try not to blame everybody in your surroundings for what you're going through. It is most likely red herrings. You are most likely being subjected to some kind of non-consensual experiment by the government. And of course, they're going to outsource many of the gang stalking aspects of the program. because they're not be so many resources if it was people from intelligence agencies walking around harassing you. So they outsource those aspects, while the technology part is obviously being run by intelligence agencies or corporations. It's not most likely not your neighbor sitting there with a microwave oven through your ceiling. You know what I mean? Those things I've seen people make the mistake many times, even though people are being co-opted to join in harassing you, and that could well be your neighbor or something, but most likely they're not responsible for it. And of course, don't engage if you're being subjected to synthetic telepathy and whomever is sending these communications to you. Do not engage with them. Try to ignore them as much as possible. Try not to seclude yourself so you're isolated. Try to maintain that as normal as life as possible. And if people don't understand to the full extent what you're going through, even though people going forwards are going to have much easier time understanding, especially when these things are being used publicly. So there's not really much of a explanation they can't really say that we have no clue, because these things are going on to so many people all around the world. So
yeah, good advice, Stephen, especially the isolation bit and getting out and doing as normal a day as you can. Yeah, because I push myself to go out all the time because I want to be seen out, because I didn't know what they were saying about me.
No. Right.
You know, and you don't know what you are from day to day, because you think to yourself, well, am I a homo today? Or am I a pedo? Am I a rapist? Or am I a burglar? Or I'm a... You don't know what you are from day to day.
No, they go through the whole gamut, don't they? They will try any and everything and just throw mud at you till it sticks, and you just have to kind of fight that by being seen and by being yourself, of course.
Yeah. No, that's more good advice. And you've got to be as natural as you can be, Stephen. You've got to be the person as close to you were being born to, and ignore everything.
Yeah, well, you can't let them get you down, that's for sure. But it's almost an impossible task. We're only individuals, we're only citizens, and these are massive intelligence organizations with the resources, ever-ending resource, and the most advanced technologies you can imagine. And the media is on their side, and there is no rule of law. Even we live in countries that say that we live by the rule of law. It's just a farce. If the government's interests are involved, you have no rights. You have no expectation of them upholding your human rights, for example. I have had cases that I have sent to human rights courts in the European Union, and they just threw the case away, denied it, despite there being obvious pieces of evidence showing that I haven't received a fair trial. And these were in a civil case that I have brought against the municipality where I live. And every time I tried to put forward a case, they would automatically deny the case being heard. And even though having evidence to show that my human rights are being violated, the Human Rights Court didn't want to see any of it. So you have to. It's almost impossible to win.
Yeah. I believe that the truth's going to come out this year for some reason. Right. And the reason I believe it, Stephen, is because there's so many people coming forward now.
Yeah.
And a lot more people have got the balls, like yourself and a lot of other people doing their testimonies, to make it public.
Yeah.
Whereas a few years ago, a lot of people were too scared to say anything.
Yeah, I sure hope you're right. I highly doubt it, because it's being normalized. So people are, if you're a target individual, many people will just say, well, there must be some reason, and they're not gonna investigate it further. If it's just kind of, it's being normalized at such a pace that people are willing, not every people, but many people are willing to accept whatever, and that's a scary thought.
Well, the reason I said that is we've got a court case going on in London at the moment
All right,
with Tim. We've got another case going on in the States, a chap called George Benavides. A friend of mine went to see Dr. Hoffer at Miami Hospital about 4 weeks ago. I think it was just previous to Christmas. And they actually found a microchip in her, and they actually diagnosed her with Havana syndrome.
right.
Dr. Hoffer apparently charges $1,000, and he's at Miami Hospital. And this is where Len Bear and a few of the other people have been diagnosed with Havana syndrome.
Yeah.
So that is the only reason that I'm saying that I believe there's a chance it will come out. Not only that, because Icator in Belgium, they're getting their case together now, and I think they've raised enough money for a class action lawsuit.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know all these things, but I sure hope they have the best of luck because this needs to stop, doesn't it? And there's only more and more people, as far as I understand, being victimized by these technologies and programs. That can't stay.
yeah. And as you say, Stephen, I've been reporting on Twitter for 12 years now,
Right.
3 years on Facebook prior to that. And the last year it exploded the amount of people
Yeah.
that are actually coming forward complaining of V2K, DEW, remote neural monitoring, gang stalking. And you know, these crimes are becoming massive now.
Yeah, it's becoming commonplace, nearly, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know any other TIs in Denmark, Stephen?
Yeah, I knew someone called Lars Drudgaard.
Yes, I've come across Lars.
Yeah, I don't know where he is now. Have you seen him? Have you heard from him?
No, haven't heard from him. No, no, I haven't seen him about his name. No.
No, and someone else contacted me a little while ago. Someone called Anne. She's also being targeted. I have only spoken to her once. So other than that, no. Again, my situation is not very conducive to people contacting me because of the public nature of my situation. You have normally people, governments, they deny that they are targeting someone or persecuting someone. They don't do that in my case, do they? They flaunt it. They use it as an example. Look, this is what we will do to you if you don't do as we say, basically. So that's not very conducive to people contacting me, you know. So
Do you ever believe that you'll be off the program?
probably not. I'm just being realistic. Probably not. They are definitely working to get rid of me. So if they can get enough genuine belief in their allegation, their false allegations against me that I'm some kind of sex criminal, without there ever being any cases, mind you, and they can get enough people to believe this organically, not just go along with it,
Yeah.
then they will try to dump me off. That's almost certain. It's only a matter of time before they're going to try to have someone hurt me or kill me. It has already happened last year. Someone tried to run me off my motorbike, and it was being announced that we're going to do this, and they were literally using synthetic telepathy to organise this hit and run. I drove off to the side and missed the car, and they're also asking of people to come and rob my place and stuff like that. So, and when I go to the gym in Aalborg, and I have had a criminal history, so they're going to use this as an excuse to say my past criminal life has come up to haunt me, and then I could get stabbed or shot, and they will blame it on my history, won't they? That's how they're operating at this moment in 2023. So yeah, I'm taking my.
Have you ever come across Dr. Matthew Aaron, Stephen?
No, I haven't.
Right. Well, Dr. Matthew Aaron, he's actually a neuroscientist,
Right,
and he was actually put on the program.
right,
And he was, if you Google his name, Dr. Matthew Aaron, he actually arranged some of the protests in Washington
right.
about 3 years ago. And I do a talk show on a Sunday night called TI Talk.
Yeah,
And last year he came on and he spent a couple of hours with us, and they've actually given him a reprieve now.
All right.
Yeah, because he went to Washington, he was arranging all of the protests for targeted individuals.
Right.
They've actually given him a reprieve now, and they've given him a job.
So he was too effective.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I could see that happening in the States, but here in Europe, I think we are behind in that regard. Especially here in Denmark, I wouldn't know. I don't think there's anybody who's up to meeting up and protesting anything. In the UK, you've probably got a few more people, but in the States, they are definitely the ones who have the biggest chance of getting out of this hell first. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. But as I said, I truly believe that it's going to come out here. Yeah. Because it's becoming too big, Stephen, in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I sure hope so, because this can only get worse, can't it?
Yeah.
That's how I feel anyway. So yeah.
So last week I was really pissed off and really down, Stephen, and I thought to myself, Roy, what's the point in you hanging on in your hometown here at Bournemouth? I thought to myself, all of your life here, all they've done is cause trouble for you. And I thought to myself, well, why don't you just clear off, sell your car with a little bit of money you've got, run away and start somewhere else.
Right.
But then so many people contacted me and said, Roy, continue with TI talk, and, you know, just continue with your testimonies and get on and do stuff. Would you say to somebody that is suffering from this, Stephen, to go away or stick it out?
Well, you can't go anywhere. It's a satellite-based system, and as soon as you go somewhere, there's just a new group of people who take over the gang stalking aspects of the program, and the same technological capabilities, taunting and haunting you where you are, is just going to be communicating to where you are now. There's no space unless you go completely out of the world, kind of thing. If you Antarctica or something, maybe the signals won't be so easy to get to you. But anywhere in the civilized world, it makes no difference.
Right. No, I only asked that because you live in Denmark. Did you experience the same stuff while you were in the UK?
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Oh, it was exactly the same, no difference.
Well, I was living in the UK in 2009, wasn't I? And I moved back to Denmark in 2011, just after the new year. And I didn't realise I was being targeted. I didn't realise they were running PSYOPS to everybody in my surroundings in Brighton and everywhere else in the world, for that matter. I didn't know that. And it was kind of the inception of the program began when I was in England. And I didn't know I was being subjected to these technologies, or the intelligence agencies of MI5 and MI6 and what have you were running this program. I didn't know. So my life just went pear-shaped, didn't it? And I just went home. So, and then everything has just continued ever since. But obviously I have begun a research. I started to research what all of this was, and from there on, I gradually learned to live better and better despite my situation. So now I'm fit for fight, but of course I'm being attacked like you couldn't believe, and they are running daily PSYOPs on me or to the people against me, aren't they? So it's very, very hard to live in this situation.
Yeah, and when you were saying you can't escape it, I had a female friend. They kept me away from females for 20 years. They isolated me. Yeah. And I had a female friend a few years ago, and we went to Morocco, we went to Spain, we went to Australia, we went to New Zealand, and everywhere I went, it never changed.
No, that's what I mean. Any place in the civilized world is not going to change.
Not the gang stalking, because when I'm with her, they tend not to do it when you're with somebody.
Right.
You know, but the V2K I meant and the DEW followed me everywhere.
Yeah. We're satellite based, so that is why, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Well, they believe it hands off from cellular to satellite, don't they?
I don't know the particulars, but it is it shows the reason that it's a satellite-based system. For example, if you go in an airplane and you still get the same effects that you do on the ground, well, then it's not cell phone signals. Then it's definitely a satellite-based signal. That way, you can kind of conclude that it's at least at some extent a satellite-based system.
Well, there are other theories that somebody near us have got pieces of equipment as well.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine, he worked on the planes, on the airplanes. He was a steward,
Right.
and he didn't get V2K at certain times. But when somebody came on his plane, it was an ex-partner of his. He started getting V2K on the plane.
Yeah, I actually heard that interview which you're referring
Right.
to. Very interesting, very interesting. But again, there are probably a few nuances in accordance to who is doing the targeting. Is it the government or is it a corporation? The government's reach is much, much bigger than a corporation, for example. Even though a corporation can be huge as well. I think that may be why there's a difference. Obviously, it's a theory. We can't say for sure, can we? But
Well, the other theory is, Stephen, is that we're actually being sold on the dark web.
yeah.
A lot of people believe this because apparently I've heard that you can put somebody on the program for 2,000.
Right. Yeah.
You know, whether it's true or not, I don't know.
I wouldn't go down that path myself, at least. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe.
Did you see the interview I did with Craig with the thing that looked like the program that they were using on us?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, basically, I did an interview with Craig and he managed to buy this software.
Right.
And he paid 30 quid for it. And this software, it says, basically, there's a picture on there where they can see through your eyes. They can make your arms jumps. They can turn up the V2K and all of this. And it was all in the software program.
Right. No, I haven't seen that one. But I hope it's not that accessible. That would be terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like you said, it's only theories at the moment, though, isn't it? We don't know the truth.
Well, we know a lot, but the minutiae, of course, the details, it's going to be hard to 100% say for sure. But we can make a lot of conclusions, but we have to be careful not to buy into all of it, because we don't want to discredit ourselves either. So stick to the facts as much as possible, and stick to what is objectively reasonable. Yeah, and that way you can't go completely wrong.
Yeah, good advice. Stephen, are you spiritual?
Not at all.
Right, okay.
No.
No, I say that because a lot of people as well, they don't believe it's fully electronic.
Oh, right.
And part of me knows that it's not, because the occult used magic on me to destroy me.
Right.
You know.
Well, I personally believe it's 100% man-made. So if there was really a God, this is obviously religious, he wouldn't let so many people suffer all around the world, would he? That's just my opinion.
Oh no, God wouldn't, but didn't he give the world to Satan?
I don't know. I'm not religious.
Right.
That's kind of.
Oh no, I'm just putting it out there because we know that we live in a planet that's satanic.
Yeah, well, it seems like it anyway. Very many evil people, and they seem to be in control, unfortunately. So yeah.
Sorry, Stephen, after you.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it was good to come on and have a chat with you, and maybe we can talk in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this video turns out, and hopefully people will be interested.